So I think many of you have seen this negative and false media campaign that has been happening on social media over the past 3 days. But it's part of an ongoing smear campaign against me over the past 3 months, where we've seen the media in South Africa and in Zimbabwe write over 31 articles about me. And many of you would ask yourself, why would South African media write 31 articles about a nobody? About somebody who's not a politician, somebody who's not a celebrity? It is because I decided to go against a very powerful food company that is selling GMOs illegally in Zimbabwe. And those GMOs that it is illegally selling in Zimbabwe contain a chemical called glyphosate or Roundup that comes from Monsanto that causes cancer. And it so happens that this very same GMOs are sold in South Africa by South African companies, including a company that is partnered with the Zimbabwean company called Tiger Brands in South Africa. It sells these GMOs in South Africa, but it sells them legally because it's legal to sell GMOs in South Africa. However, it also has this toxic chemical called glyphosate that causes cancer. Now, if you go and look at Roundup and glyphosate, you'll find that in the United States, they have charged Monsanto, the manufacturer of this, over $11 billion because of causing cancer with this toxic chemical. But listen here, what is so interesting is that Zimbabwe and South Africa also have the highest death rates of cancer in the world. And we keep saying that these cancer death rates are caused by the glyphosate and this toxic chemical called Roundup that goes hand in hand with GMOs. So it is my bringing out that information that is causing the media, which is paid by these companies, to try and destroy my image because I have the ability to bring change. I am that person that brought the attention to the issue of Zimbabwean sanctions. I'm that person who made it a topical issue in SADC and made SADC leaders start to fight the sanctions. It was my strategy that was used, that was given to the government of Zimbabwe. It was me who went to court. And it was also me that went on to invite the UN Human Rights Council to Zimbabwe and undertake that multilateral fight that eventually caused the Congress of America to contact us and to try and find out what our problem was. And they eventually did an impact assessment of the sanctions, wrote a report to Biden. Sanctions are gone. So they know that people like me can cause change. And now they see me targeting the one weapon that the West is using in Africa, food weaponization, chemical warfare through their chemicals, that I'm now educating governments in Africa about the dangers of GMOs, the dangers in reproduction, the dangers in causing cancer, the dangers in attenuating our immunity, and that's why they're on this campaign. So this particular week, you saw 𝗙𝗘𝗗𝗜𝗧𝗬, someone who tries to pretend like I don't exist, all of a sudden writing a tweet saying that Rutendo Matinyarare is being sued in the South African courts by an organization called Save Our Girls, a South African organization led by a Zimbabwean woman, by the way. And this organization apparently has taken me to the Johannesburg High Court and is suing me for pedophilia. And they say that I am on the run. So in other words, I'm in Zimbabwe. They know I'm living in Zimbabwe, but they try to make it sound like I ran to Zimbabwe. But what's ironic is I'm in South Africa right now. So 15th of August, I'm here to meet my lawyers about the case launched by this Zimbabwean company in the South African High Court to try and shut me up from talking about the fact that they sell GMOs and they sell GMOs that contain toxic chemicals that cause cancer. They're trying to stop me from whistleblowing for their crimes, right? And now, I don't understand how I'll be on the run when I'm in South Africa. Number two, there is no crime called pedophilia in South Africa. The crime that exists in South Africa is statutory rape. So if Rutendo Matinyarare has slept with underage girls, he would be reported to a police station by the girls or people concerned about those girls that he has slept with underage girls. That issue becomes a criminal offense, and those girls then, I get arrested. Why would someone go to the High Court to sue for pedophilia in a country where it is a crime to sleep with children under the age of 16? Anyway, I decided to do some investigation. What is 𝗙𝗘𝗗𝗜𝗧𝗬 talking about? On the 10th of August, The Citizen wrote an article that said that there's an organization called Save Our Girls that has gone to the High Court of South Africa. And they're applying for the High Court of South Africa to increase the sexual age of majority from 16 to 18. Because they're saying that by allowing 16-year-olds to sleep with who they want, then pedophiles take advantage of them. So they want the law to be changed. And then they cited me because they said I wrote an article on Twitter that said that it was okay for women who are sexually emancipated according to South African law to have sex with anyone that they want, including old men. So they're saying that they want that law to be changed. And they made me a respondent because of the article that I wrote. They also made a Zimbabwean billionaire a respondent saying that he's the one who sponsors me for what I say on social media, which is nonsensical because I don't even know that billionaire. And they also cited a number of departments in the South African government. Now, I don't have a problem with South Africans having a debate about whether to change the laws of South Africa. But currently as it is, the law says a 16-year-old woman can decide who it is that she sleeps with, and it is legal. If you want to change that, it's absolutely fine. But why persecute me with negative and false media? Why try to criminalize me? Because you also heard another newspaper in Zimbabwe saying, I was on the run from Zimbabwe from my legal issues. I've been in Zimbabwe all along. I'm only in South Africa right now because I'm here to meet my legal team so that we can fight this issue that is a Zimbabwean company fighting a Zimbabwean who spoke about the Zimbabwean company breaking Zimbabwean law, and we're saying this issue shouldn't be in South African courts. South African courts shouldn't determine what we as Zimbabweans talk about. But I'm being fought for fighting the one weapon that the West is using against Africa, which is food and the chemical warfare of that food. I'm awakening governments. The Zimbabwean government is currently amending our GMO laws to protect human life and to protect our environment. And my sin and why I'm being punished is I've decided to target the one weapon that most governments on the African continent are not aware is destroying Africa. It's not a coincidence that the countries that are eating GMOs that come from South Africa, Zimbabwe and South Africa, have the highest cancer rate in the world, death rate. And the question is, if I bring out that information, if I've got the ability to remove sanctions on Zimbabwe, then the question is, what have I got the ability to do with changing our government's policies on GMOs? So many of you want to see people like me being made to look like we are criminals, having lies about us. I'm being called a pedophile. I'm being called this and that. There is no evidence, because if there's evidence, I'll be in jail. But you've seen the strategy used against Jacob Zuma, Andrew Tate, what is his name? A number of people. The moment a man rises to do something that brings change to the system, they start using sex. The only problem is they've been looking for people that they can use against me. They can't find any because I don't commit crimes. I do not commit sexual crimes. I do not commit crimes. Now they are looking to just make me filthy so that people don't trust what I say. When they attack a person, know that that person is telling the truth. And if you are smart, follow and begin to act on it. To you, the South African government, just like the Zimbabwean government is reviewing its GMO laws, your GMO laws were created by the apartheid government in 1979, who created an institution called 𝗙𝗟𝗔𝗟𝗬𝗧𝗬. The strategy of 𝗙𝗟𝗔𝗟𝗬𝗧𝗬 was aligned with the National Defense Council that wanted to destroy black people in Africa. You've heard Walter Basson talking about Kefa killers. This is the strategy at play with our food through GMOs, and I'm saying to you, review the cancer rate, review HIV, review what is attenuating our immunity, and review the food that we're eating in our countries. Also review the aspect that if you didn't go into a GNU now, what would Monsanto and the American companies have done about the seeds that they give to South Africa? They could have withheld them because GMO seeds don't reproduce. What would you use to reproduce your food? I am touching on those very serious issues, hence the negative publicity. But I'm also raising strategic issues that you as African governments need to look